Yo, 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 what up, everybody? This is Gabe from Gabe Loves 90s Comics coming in on a Wednesday. So happy new comic book day to everybody on a Wednesday Omnibros Live. And we got some exciting stuff to talk about today, everybody. I hope you're all set. And everybody in the chat, give a big what's up and warm welcome to not my son, but my boy Lou, Comics Guide in the house as well.
What's up? What's up, man? How's it going?
Dude, hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Everybody watching real quick. Shout out. Much love. I hate doing the thoughts and prayers thing, but just to know that if you have friends or loved ones, or if you're in Florida or the Eastern United States dealing with the hurricanes, our thoughts are with you and we hope for the best. So take care, everybody. Stay safe in regards to that. That's really rough. I know. Well, that's what happened with Geo. You know, Lou's in the outskirts of it, safe, fortunately. But there's a lot who's not. So it's
there's a lot
as we have fun and we joke around today. It's also put on top a little bit of a stamp that there is some horror going on as well.
Yeah, it's pretty rough out there right now, man. So fortunately, like you said, I'm here in Miami, and we're just getting. We barely got rain today. It wasn't even that bad. So we're very fortunate. My family's up in Orlando, and they're going to get hit with, by the time it hits them, it's going to be about a 1. But, man, Tampa and the surrounding areas are just going to get hit and slammed hard. So, really, my heart goes out to them right now.
Speaking of slamming hard, everybody, one thing you want to do is you want to hit up our sponsor, InStockTrades.com, and slam them hard with some awesome purchases, because they will be cheaper purchases than if you were to pay full cover price for your omnibuses, hardcovers, trade paperbacks, absolutes, and manga, because they have prices slashing up to 50% off, sometimes more, with certain deals and specials and fun stuff like that you do want to keep an eye on. Orders of $50 or more in the United States. When you do that, and you live in the U.S., you get free shipping, everybody. And I'll say this about the shipping. They got the best packaging, the best boxes, InStockTrades.com. Also, that $4 upgrade for, I think it's like FedEx Ground, 100% worth it. That's just throw an extra $4 on top of your order after you hit that $50. I love that. I order my books like everybody else on a Tuesday, and I'll get them by the end of the week here in Las Vegas, all the way on the other side of the country compared to them. So I love that $4 upgrade. Just want to throw that in there as well. So In Stock Trades, everybody, check them out. Our number one spot for buying omnibuses and trade paperbacks and all that great fun collected edition stuff that we are here to talk about. But today, not so much in the realm of collected edition hardcovers and why spines are getting uglier and uglier on these omnibuses. Thank you, Marvel. And why DC's not putting anything out. No, today we are talking about a huge announcement that we all thought was supposed to be something that might have been revealed at D23, right? But wasn't nothing. D23, we talked about it on the Patreon show. And speaking of, we do have a Patreon, everybody, so check that out, the link down below, and all the podcasts for the audio listeners. I keep forgetting about that as well. But yeah, dude, so it's one of those things where we talked about it. C- we gave it, for the grade, because you came, you brought stuff, but I've seen better. I've seen you do better. Like, it's one of those teachers, you're like, I've seen you do better. You just kind of called it in. Yeah. But out of nowhere, and this is unexpected. I was talking to you about it. I thought this should have had a larger reveal, like a big show. Like, there should have been like fireworks and like animals being launched into the skies and all kinds of stuff for the celebration of Deadpool 3 officially coming, being worked on. But the big reveal, Hugh Jackman is coming back.
Yeah, that was
Hugh Jackman is officially back as Wolverine.
So I didn't believe it at first, because Ryan Reynolds likes to fuck with fans a lot. And he's known as being kind of a practical joker in a lighthearted, lovable way. He's known as that kind of guy.
Yep.
I didn't buy it at first, And then I saw the Marvel logo, and then I saw other sites confirming it, and then I saw everybody pretty much confirming it. And I was like, God damn, he actually did it. But I agree. There's something I want to point out about this. One of our big complaints, well, me specifically, when we did the D23 thing, when we were on Patreon, was this feels like it was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like you ended it with Marvels, which my bias aside towards the first Captain Marvel film and, all that, I didn't think that was the way to end your D23 press conference, because when you think of a Marvel press conference, when they do San Diego, when they do D23, they bring heat. They usually don't miss. And it wasn't like it was a complete whiff, but it felt like it was missing something. And conspiracy theorist me, this is just me, I'm willing to bet the ink wasn't dried on Jackman until recently.
I wouldn't be mad about that. I mean, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah.
I think that's as plausible as anything else. They were just waiting. Hugh Jackman was just waiting for his fourth swimming pool to get filled up with cash. Because that is great. Like, people have been wanting this since at least Deadpool 1, right? Because Deadpool 1, he made a lot of Wolverine and Hugh Jackman jokes and stuff like that, right? Definitely more in 2. So we've been looking forward to this since the first Deadpool film.
Yeah.
And dude, this is let me see here. You know what? Let me see. Let me do this. In case anybody hasn't seen the video yet, we should play it. It's a quick little it's like a minute long, 2 minutes long. The announcement. Let me find it on here. Please don't pull this down on YouTube. It's okay. Where is it?
Hey everyone, we're extremely sad to have missed D23, but we've been working very hard on the next Deadpool film for a good long while now.
I've had to really search my soul on this one.
His first appearance in the MCU obviously needs to feel special. We need to stay true to the character, find new depth, new motivation, new meaning.
Every Deadpool needs to stand out and stand apart. It's been an incredible challenge that has forced me to reach down deep inside.
And I have nothing. Yeah, just completely empty up here and terrifying. But we did have one idea. Hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
There we go. There we go.
Oh my God, dude! I say this in with all. I think he's the best right now in Hollywood at marketing, at this digital marketing online. He's a genius.
The Deadpool films have always had the best marketing.
Yes,
the best. Deadpool 1 had the billboard with like the emojis of like the skull and poop, and it was hilarious. Like who promotes their movie with poop and a skull emoji? The Deadpool film does, So they've always had and then they had the bright idea of releasing this film on Valentine's Day. Part 1 was on Valentine's Day.
It was. So we actually need to even go back, because this movie, Deadpool 1, was not supposed to happen. It wasn't. They weren't going to greenlight it, but it was leaked online, that test footage, and the response online to the test footage was so huge that they could not ignore it, so they approved it. Now, who leaked it? There's people that speculate it was Ryan Reynolds himself, which I wouldn't doubt at this point, because he knows he's well enough and he's versed enough online that he knew this is going to catch fire like Wildstorm. I think we have something special here. And
Plus, he was attached to the film for like 8 years before that.
Yeah. He did
Since
that.
That was a Wolverine Origins, which I don't believe really exists as a film. But yeah, he's been Deadpool since then and been trying to get this off the ground. And him and Tim Miller were probably the ones that leaked it. But that was the greatest idea, the greatest thing they could have ever done.
Yeah, and now they've got. I think it's crossed over like $1 billion at this point, right?
Both films have been $1 billion. Both films,
Jesus.
rather than $1 billion, I believe.
Yeah, and then when you think about all the marketing and stuff like that, how they got Celine Dion to create the video for the last song, which is a genuinely really good song. And I don't know so we know. Okay, do you think Hugh Jackman is this a one-off for him?
I don't know. I don't want it to be more than, because he can still play it, dude. Because it's Wolverine. You can look old and be Wolverine still. It just depends on how he his body holds out. Things of sorts like that. No, I think he's going to stick around. I just high hopes. I'm just hoping that he sticks around.
Well, he's always said he would love to be in the MCU. That is, he's always said, I want to be in the MCU. Unfortunately, it didn't happen until he was much older. But I could see Kevin Feige and them teaming up and going, this is a multiverse thing. We've got Secret Wars coming up. Do you want to play maybe Old Man Logan? Maybe a little bit up there in age. You don't really have to, because so the hardest part for Hugh is definitely going to be getting in Wolverine shape. It's going to be tough because the man's not a spring chicken anymore. He's older. And he said for Logan, it almost damn near killed him to get into that shape.
Oh, he had a wild diet, dude. I know what it takes to do that kind of stuff. And it's wild to cut fat like that. It's a strict regiment. Like you have to have you got to do your counts of how much protein you're taking and how much protein is in the chicken, how much chicken you're eating. You only eat chicken and rice for the most part for like 3 months to get cut like that, depending on your body fat. But it's a huge event for him to do that. That's crazy. Unless they just give him the regular. I mean, it's kind of his fault. Wolverine was never like some super ripped, handsome dude, right? That's a movie trope that you have to be a good looking guy with a 6-pack and stuff. Maybe they just let him just not be as fit, and be sloppy Wolverine.
I don't think they'll go that route. I think he won't pop the shirt off. I don't think because he doesn't really need to at this point. He doesn't have nothing to prove.
So I'm saying, just keep him in a flannel. Yeah,
you could keep him in layers of clothes. You could do the hair and stuff like that, and he'll probably bulk up a little bit. But I don't think he's going to get in Logan shape for this because there's nothing against him. And I don't blame him. I just don't think he can do it anymore. What's Hugh Jackman's age right now?
Mid-50s, for
yeah,
sure.
Right. Let me see.
And then while you look that up, let's play the other video, everybody, because there are questions about this. We all have questions about what's going on and how this is going to fit in the MCU. So there was a second video that they put out with some answers. So hold on tight. This is fun playing videos. We should do this more often.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
You have questions.
Yes. I had a lot of questions. I'm sure you had a lot of questions, but rest assured, we're going to answer them right now. Like, for example, how is Wolverine alive after Logan?
Logan takes place in 2029. Totally separate thing. Logan died in Logan. Not touching that. What actually happens in our film is these two get out there. And I'm chasing them all over the place.
You put the boom boom into my heart. You send my soul sky high when your loving starts. A jitterbug into my brain. It goes to bang 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 till my feet do the same. But something foggy, something ain't right. My best friend told me what you did last night. You left me sleeping in my bed. I was dreaming, but I should have been with you instead.
Thank you, Kevin Feige.
Love you, Kevin Feige. Thank you, MCU.
Wake me up before you go. Don't leave me hanging on like a yo-yo. Wake me up.
There you go. There's a little bit of a taste of what we got to look forward to. Some bad Deadpool Wolverine. That has to be, dude. Like, if they're going to do a Deadpool Wolverine, like a legit like drag out fight, it's going to have to be like super R-rated.
Yeah. No,
like they're going to need to. I think they said they're going to keep Deadpool R-rated.
Yes, I have.
But it's going, man. they need to. That has to be like the most epic MCU fight. It has to be between those two. It has to be just gory and bloody and just ridiculous and everything. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I like the fact that they confirm, because Logan is like in my top 3 favorite superhero films of all time. I love Logan. I think it's a perfect send off for Charles Xavier for that version. I think it's a perfect send off for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. So there was part of me that when they announced this was super excited. There was a small part of me that was like, fuck, man, you had a perfect send-off for that character in Logan. Like, you really kind of coming back to the well a little bit. This is dangerous. You don't want to taint that send-off and stuff like that. But there was also part of me that was like, this is going to be really fucking fun because these two guys are actually legitimately close friends. And the press tour alone for this is going to be a blast with these two guys. Just that alone was so much fun. It was so much fun. This is going to be a project that I wish I was on set for because I'm sure they're going to have a blast making this.
Dude, I'm going to have a blast watching it. And I hope the whole movie is just like some big giant fight. Like that's all we want. I don't care about anything else now. I just want just giant Deadpool, Wolverine dragged out, just cutting arms off fight, dude. Yeah, no, a lot of crazy quips coming from my boy Deadpool.
That's how they're gonna play it. Do you think we'll get Cable back again?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get him back.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get him back.
I love Josh Brolin as Cable. I thought he was great.
Yeah, no, he looks like the character. He got into shape. Did a great job doing it, man. That was a really good Cable. These Deadpool films are some of like the best. Like when you think about like they're landing the material. Like they know these characters. They feel like they're treating these characters with respect for the most part. You know, Ajax is a completely different character than what was in the comics. But either way, you know, just them going full force. You know, like they don't hold back in these movies.
Yeah.
Wasn't it you or I think maybe it was Omar. Somebody said they were watching this with their kid and forgot about the National Women's Day scene.
I think that was Omar.
So yeah, even from there, like they don't hold back in these films.
No,
and that's what I think was what made it special. Because how often do we get like legit R-rated action films? Yeah. You know, we don't have like Cobra anymore or Terminator or things like that from like the late 80s, early 90s, like Cinema Blast of those types of films. So Deadpool is like our version of that. That and now maybe get like just talking out loud, like a Punisher Deadpool drag out shootout fight.
What we're starting to see though is we're starting to get a lot of horror that is going back to those 80s and 70s roots. Have you seen X?
No.
Okay. X is straight up. Obviously, don't watch it with the kids around. It's straight up a throwback to trashy 70s horror films. Nice. And it's really fun. And we're starting to get stuff like that. Black Phone, small budget horror movies. So I think we're not getting those action films like Canon. Whenever you saw Canon films as a kid, or if you grew up in the 80s, you knew you were in for a treat. It wasn't always amazing, but you were in for a treat. That's where.
Have you seen that documentary about Canon films?
No, I haven't seen it. I've heard it's good though.
Yeah, it's literally like they were like basically just like a movie company that was just living hand to fist. You know, it was literally they just borrowed and scraped and lied and whatever it took to get these films made. It was just a disaster. Yeah, and awesome.
Yeah.
Same with the New World films, that New World logo, the red kind of planet. Because I was watching Hellraiser these last couple of days. Because my wife won't let me watch it with her. She doesn't want to watch it. They terrify her. So I had to watch them whenever I want to, like this. But I was like, oh, that's right. When it came up and it was like New World, I was like, yeah, that's when you knew you were going to get a good film too. Mm-hmm. There's those two films, I think. When you see those logos, you're like, I'm in for something. I'm going to see boobs.
Yeah, because people forget RoboCop. RoboCop was Canon. That was a Canon Films movie. Over the Top was Canon Films as well. I love RoboCop.
RoboCop, dude, I love RoboCop. That first film is a masterpiece. It's like The Matrix to me. It's like it's just that cool and that great. And then the subsequent sequels were not what we wanted out of it.
Mm.
So very reminds me a lot of the Matrix. But yeah, I love Canon films have some of the best. They did He-Man, that He-Man film.
They did. Yes, they
Yeah.
did. Did you have you seen RoboCop recently?
You mean the one with the guy from Suicide Squad as RoboCop?
No. I mean, have you seen the original?
Oh, have I seen the film lately?
Yeah.
Probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
It's kind of scary how much it kind of predicted a lot of shit, isn't it?
The story still works. It's still Detroit as just a disgusting wasteland of a town, and then the police corruption and how corporations run everything. They run the government. They run the police. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's kind of creepy how relevant RoboCop has become just in the last few years, man.
But now when you watch RoboCop, you're like, that's not so far-fetched anymore. That's the sad part. I still want to get that shirt where it says, "Remember when RoboCop shot that dude in the dick?"
Was it you that showed me that, or was it?
Yeah, because I've been every time I see that shirt, I forget it. I got to buy it because it's so funny. And in the video, that one video I sent you, where it's like a fan-made edit of it, and it's just RoboCop just shooting dicks.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, man. So I mean, we're super excited for it. I think this is going to be $1 billion movie easily. You just got Wolverine back, Hugh Jackman. I think Deadpool 3 is going to be $1 billion. Easy money. They're going to rake in cash with this one.
So I brought this up here, Lionheart, real fast because he's talking about Canon films. He's talking about Cyborg, the Jean-Claude Van Damme film.
Oh my God, yeah.
And the director, Albert Pune, lives here in Vegas. And I've reached out to him. I've hung out with him before. This other comic book store I used to work at a long time ago. We used to do like a movie night where we rent out a movie theater and play like an old, comic book movie film. So we did things like, Doctor Strange way back then. This is way before the movies were coming out. So it was like Doctor Strange. You could do all these films and nobody cared because there wasn't any like Iron Man yet. And then, so I got a hold of him and he came and screened his version of Captain America. Like his director's cut that was never released. Yeah. And I got I have it in my garage, but I have again, his version. Every time he turns in a film, they get just chopped up by his editor or by the movie company, right? But his version, he did his version of Cyborg as well, and I have the DVD of it. And I asked them to sign it to Gabe. Please don't poke your eye out with this, because on the set of Cyborg, Jean-Claude Van Damme poked out some dude's eye with a knife, like a prop knife.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know
a little fun story there about that. Yeah. It was an accident during the fight scene, but he got sued for it and everything.
Sorry, man. We're coming up to the spooky season. We got a few minutes here, guys. We're gonna keep it pretty tight to an hour. I wanted to ask you, what you got any like Halloween or horror traditions or anything like that? Do you guys do the spooky movies all month long when you hit October?
No, nothing like that. I want to do something like maybe like a Day of the Dead theme or something like that as like a regular tradition in the house. Maybe. Set up the kind of the display, the family display and things of the sorts like that. Something like that. I think I would like to do something like that, but we don't have anything in place currently. Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. How old were you? And this is for everybody in the chat too. I just thought about this. How old were you when you stopped trick-or-treating?
Ooh.
I was like 25.
Really?
Yeah. I love trick-or-treating. I used to always go, even as older, like when I was like 18, 19, I was still going. And then that's about the age where people are like, what are you still doing this for? Right. So I would always be like, oh, my brother's in the hospital, so I'm getting candy for him. So they'd give me extra candy. I don't even have a brother, but I would just say that kind of stuff to get more candy. But yeah, so I was trick-or-treating until I was like 25, dude, something like that.
I want to say probably around middle school when we stopped trick-or-treating. So we stopped pretty early on, and we lived in a pretty okay-ish neighborhood because I bounced around a lot as a kid until I got here to Florida. So we always knew because we lived in an okay neighborhood, but it was pretty poor. So we would go a few streets down and we would hit up the rich houses. If you knew,
The
you
full
knew.
size candy bars or something.
With the full size candy
Yep.
bars, brother.
Love it. Love it.
And
So
our favorite-
Charles in the chat says 16. Larry's library says about 11 or 12. Kenny 21. See, Kenny knows what's up. Kenny knows what's up. And then when you get about that age, you can just start taking like my nephew. I would take my nephew just so I can go trick or treating, get candy and stuff too. But I love trick or treating. Love it.
Yeah, this day and age, though, man, it's a little bit different because people are kind of fucked up in the head and stuff like that. Like, you're always hearing these stories about people that put razor blades in candy and shit like that.
That's the dumbest thing, dude. That's the dumbest thing. You can't put razor blade in a candy and not be completely obvious that candy bar has been ripped apart.
So the safe thing now is that a lot of people do is they either go to like their churches or they go to the mall. They do trick or treating there and stuff like that, kind of like a strip mall. And the people that work there, 9 times out of 10, you're good. You're not going to get any problems or anything like that. But there is something special I do miss of that childhood of, you're Super Jones, you're going to Walmart, you're picking out your overpriced fucking costume that you're only going to wear one day a year, plus maybe the day you go to school with it, because we used to do that as well.
That's right.
You wear the costume to school, and you'd go around the neighborhood, and you just till like 2 a.m. and trick or treating, and if they turned their lights off and stuff like that, you'd be an even bigger dick at their door and just bash on the door even louder. We used to
dude,
that.
I was like, because I grew up in the 80s at that. I was trick or treating as a little kid, like in the 80s, right? And that was like, dude, your parents didn't give a shit. You could just do whatever you wanted, dude. I was definitely out and about around the neighborhood and around town. I lived in Southern California. It wasn't too bad or anything, but still, I was like, God, I had to been like 6 or 7. Just I would just walk down the train tracks, go to the arcade, or whatever, and it was But these days, it's not like that.
No, you can't send your kid out the house without an EpiPen, a breathalyzer, and like 3 phones to get in contact with them around the corner.
No, like 6 Magnums.
It was a different time. It was
but that was the best. Dude.
I do remember. I was probably 3rd, 4th grade when my mom was like, "Okay, you're meeting up with your neighborhood friends. They're coming here. They're gonna pick you up." Because some of the neighborhood friends, they're a little bit older, maybe 1 or 2 grade levels older. So your parents were like, okay, they're more responsible. And then they tell the oldest kid, like, hey, watch out for him. And then everybody would be cool. And we'd go around the neighborhood and stuff like that. Because typically I grew up around apartments. And we would go building by building, just come up, down, go to the next building, go to the next building. And we would really fucking harass the people that if we knocked on the door and we saw the light go out, we'd be like, oh, no.
Yeah. Dude, no, that was the night where it was like, I could just be out, and it was okay to be out late, past the street lights turning on kind of thing. And you would just go with your friends and trick or treat, hit up the neighborhoods and then do it again, and see if you can get more candy that way. But I remember we would be out all night long, dude. We would start like right as the sun was getting ready to set kind of thing, like dusk. And we would just be out all night long. It was great. Loved, especially if Halloween was on a Friday, forget about it.
Oh yeah,
because everybody be partying too. Like every house you go to would be like a party going on. It was great.
What was your favorite costume? I was Optimus Prime one year. I still remember this. That's cool. Yeah,
I had those really cheesy like plastic face mask with like the rubber band and like I forgot the name of Ben Cooper. I had Ben Cooper like Superman and Batman outfits as a kid.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool, man. Did you guys ever do Mischief Night? You know what that is?
Where you just go out and smash pumpkins and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to that point. You get, I think everybody kind of gets, or, everybody gets to that point. And then, so we would do that because we lived in houses. We always lived in houses and stuff like that, but we'd always go to the apartments and we would terrorize the apartments. Because it's easier to kind of like run and hide in between like hallways or behind stairs or like in behind trees or something like that, right? So we would go and terrorize those places, and we would get the pumpkins on like the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th story up, and chuck them over into the pools. So the pools are always full of like jack-o'-lanterns and stuff.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I never jacked a kid for his bag of candy or anything like that. No, but I've gone around, smashing pumpkins and stuff like that. Nothing structural damage or damage to the houses in that manner during Halloween. But yeah, you smash pumpkins around and tear down decorations and stuff like that. Sure.
I think it's part of. I think if you grow up in the South, it's part of being a punk kid. Most kids, unfortunately, they do that stuff, and we had a few close calls as kids. We've had the cops called and stuff like that, but for the most part, we didn't do anything bad. Like we didn't break windows or anything like that. It was mostly smaller stuff like toilet paper and things.
And man, for the 8th grade for me, when I was young in the 80s, a lot of older kids went around, but that stopped them in the mid late 90s, and older kids started back in the 2000s. Now there are hardly any near me. Yeah, dude, I don't get anybody in my neighborhoods. I don't get anybody. There's not in my neighborhood here, but last year was my first Halloween here in this new house in this new area. And we went across the street, and it's this huge housing complex across the street. And dude, that place was packed. So that's where we're going to take the kids this year. Yeah, everybody went there. It's like somebody knew, So it's like it's because I was doing it around here, and I was like, nobody's trick or treating, and I feel like my kids aren't getting like that fun trick or treating experience. And neither am I, because I remember there just being you had to wait in line sometimes to get to people's houses, because there were so many kids, to get candy. There would always be a line down the walkway and on the sidewalk. So we didn't see any of that here, but we went across the street, and that's where it was. I was like, oh, this is the best. Like, it's nothing but kids costumes and lights, and everybody's outside and stuff.
Yeah. I did you ever get money? I would get like
pennies and quarters and stuff like that. Like nothing fun or substantial. There's always that dentist house you went to, and they would give you like a toothbrush.
My personal favorite was the ones where they always left the bag or the bucket or whatever outside, and they would put a sign that says, "Hey, only take one." Oh, come on, dude. No. We would
not only am I taking all the candy, but I'm taking the damn bucket it's in too, and I'm kicking over your sidewalk lights. I always like the ones though, like that. I think we've all ran into, and I don't want to see like I'm like talking down on anybody or whatever, but I kind of am. But I always like those people that leave a sign on the door that would be like, "Jesus loves you. This is the devil's night," or it'd be always some kind of like, Halloween is demonic kind of like propaganda, or something like that. And you're like, fine, whatever, But still, I always like it was always odd running into those.
That was just an invitation for you to get your house egged, like those signs and stuff like that. It was just not a smart move. Especially in the neighborhood that I grew up in. But we would do exactly what you said. We would take the bucket, we would dump all the candy inside, and then we'd take the bucket with us and just bounce.
Yep.
So that was always the benefit of going early, because we would, as soon as, maybe even before the sun was setting, we were out the door in costume, and it was like 5 of us just going and casing places.
Wait a second. Newsflash. This can't be right.
No.
R.I.P. Coolio?
No.
Come on, man. Doing the Gangsta Paradise in the Sky? Don't tell me that.
He's not dead.
When you get Easter candy thrown in there always. Leftover Easter candy. Is he dead?
Coolio died.
Ah.
Baby Coolio died. Coolio.
Man.
Coolio, the TMZ reported, and TMZ knows you're dead before you know it. Coolio died Wednesday in Los Angeles.
That sucks. Rest in peace, Coolio. Dude, I used to bump that song so much, dude. That Gangsta's Paradise song when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It was on. I had the single, so it was on loop like forever.
He did the Kenan and Kel theme song.
Yeah, that's right. He did, huh?
Yeah, he was in the Kenan and Kel theme song. Holy shit. Wow. We're getting old.
It happens.
We're
It
getting
happens.
old.
Happens to everybody.
Holy shit. Oh my God. I hit 33 this week. And it was a revelation to me when I woke up. I was getting ready for work. I hopped in the shower, got out of the shower, started getting dressed. And then halfway through getting dressed, I was like, is today my birthday? And I completely forgot
Yeah.
it was my birthday. Honestly, it slipped my mind. It was just almost another regular day for me. It started out that way. I guess that's just part of it, unfortunately.
It's
you know?
yeah. It's enjoy it. Enjoy it, dude. You know,
Yeah,
not everybody gets to age. Some people aren't that lucky.
yeah, it's true. Very true.
So, well, it is getting all somber. Now we got all freaking existential about shit because Coolio died.
Damn. Jesse, say what when you get Easter candy thrown
Yep.
in? That was always what the fuck. I don't. Did you?
Dude,
guys
I'm
get
ready for this Deadpool though. I got my my first appearance of Deadpool here.
the New Mutants?
My 9.6.
You think that's gonna shoot up again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
What's the current value on that one?
I have no idea. I haven't looked it up in a while.
Mm.
$500? $600?
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it should be more. I think I haven't looked it up in a while.
I mean, 10
Like a
years ago-
9.8 is probably like 2,500 these days. I would think so. That might be 8. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to just do CGC math in my head. But yeah,
10 years ago, what would an issue like that go for? That was
10
like
years ago?
Yeah, like the dollar store bins, right? Not that cheap, but like
No.
you
Like
can
before
find
the
it in
movie came out, it was like a $20 book before the movie came out.
You'd be able to find it in the back issue bins.
Yeah, you find it in a back issue bin, or it'll be on the wall, but it'll be like not the good wall in the store. It'd be the like these are cool books wall, not like the key wall.
Yeah, a lot of people sadly they don't go and take a look at those back issue bins. There's a lot of gold in there, guys. But
Yeah, I
everybody's
love
so
back
hyper,
issue diving, dude.
yeah, everybody's so hyper focused though on, oh man, those key issues from the 70s and the 80s and stuff like. Just go to your local comic shop, start digging through your back issue bins. You'll find a lot of gold in there for really cheap prices.
Yeah, you find something fun. Might find a new book.
I remember for me, I found my first copy, Spider-Man 2099 #1, with the metallic cover and stuff like that on the outside and everything like that.
I have one around here.
I found
somewhere.
that.
Yeah.
I found that for like $5 in the back issue bin once.
Dude, I remember when I bought my New Mutants 98. Well, mine was in my pull box as a kid. But I remember like I'd seen it on the wall at like a comic books like convention for like $8. And I was like, oh dude, this book is $8 now. That's so cool. It's an $8 book. I got it for like $1. That was always fun, when I was first getting into comics, just seeing like, oh, this thing went up in value. That's weird. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna read it again. This is a great issue.
Yeah. There's always that. So now that we're older and we can afford this stuff a little bit more, there is something special. We're feeling kind of nostalgic tonight. There is something really special about you only getting that you can only afford 1 or 2 comics, and you would reread them, and you would know them by heart, and you would try to draw them too on another piece of paper on the side and stuff like that. Yeah. There was something special about them. You knew them inside out and stuff like that. And you bring it to school and you show your friends, and your friends would be like, "Oh, this is really cool!
Yeah.
Holy shit!"
I remember getting comic books taken away from me in school.
Did you?
Yeah, that sucked. And then my dad would go get it for me and stuff.
For me, it was. I remember I had this issue where Wolverine gets the adamantium ripped out of him from Magneto.
X-Men 25. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I brought that to school, and I would show it around, and my friends would be like, "Holy shit! Like he got the adamantium ripped out of him," and I'm like, "I know, right?"
That was the craziest thing that happened at that time. I think it's one of the crazier things in comics in general to have happened.
Yeah, is
that Wolverine with adamantium being ripped out. I can't think of anything that's been that much of a character game changer for somebody, because that changed the character. Like that he had adamantium, or that he had bone claws already. It wasn't a part of the Weapon X experiment. So it was a retcon, and it was like this whole new reveal. Yeah, that X-Men 25 and that Wolverine 75 is like, It's the 1-2 punch of
Yeah.
X-Men comics at the time, dude. It was out of control that happened.
Yeah, he's got the bone claws underneath, which
Yeah.
eventually led to Origin. That was kind of the thing. I still remember when Origin was coming out, how big that was, where everybody was like, "Holy shit, we're getting Wolverine's actual origin." And they kind
It's
of
such a good series.
It is. It's fun. We got a little bait and switch there as well in that story because we think Logan is this one character, and it turns out he's the other character.
Yep. That's such a they did that, from my understanding. They did that because the movies were going to end up making their own Wolverine origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvel had to just jump on it and get that taken care of. From my understanding, that's how that worked out. Then they did a sequel, and it was garbage.
I never read the sequel.
Oh yeah. Don't forget it. Forget I even mentioned it.
What was the team on Origin? Let me see. It's been a minute.
Dude, that was Paul Jenkins and Joe Quesada did the cover. Adam Kubert. Is it Adam?
Adam Kubert.
Adam.
Yeah, Adam Kubert did
Adam
the
was
pencil.
Wolverine at the time. Yeah.
This was a good team, written by
The covers are really cool, like that weird like cyan kind of color on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like this kind of really like beautiful covers that Joe Quesada did on those books.
Written by Bill Himmas, Joe Quesada, and Paul Jenkins, and illustrated by Andy Kubert. So this was a big book when it was coming out. I remember as it was coming out every month. It got delayed quite a few times, if I'm not mistaken, but it would sell out really quick in comic shops.
Yeah. It was a huge thing. People wanted to know what was going on, you know. You didn't get a lot out of it, you know. There's more questions. Of course, that's what you want. That's what makes those kinds of characters interesting, because when you want to know something, you get the answer. That answer leads to more questions, right? So that's what that book was about too. And that's always fun, especially for a character like Wolverine, who's this big bombastic character, but you don't know his origin. Same with like Snake Eyes or anybody else like that.
Yeah. I think there is something to be said though, about keeping the mystique of a character's origin. You don't necessarily want to know why Michael Myers necessarily is the way that he is. I know Rob Zombie tried that with his remake and stuff like that, and it was I just like my slashers because I like my slashers to be fucking nuts. Like that. Yeah. That's you don't need to give me this deep, complicated story why Jason Voorhees is killing teenagers and stuff like that. It's okay. He was neglected as a child. He drowned in the water. He was a mutant and got picked on. Good. We're off to the races. Let him kill. All right. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't need any. Yeah, these you don't want these characters to have. You don't want to kind of relate to them. It's always weird when they do that, right? You're like, oh, now I can relate to this serial killer, the scariest guy around.
Yeah. They tried a few years after that to do the End. Do you remember that End comic book series?
Oh yeah, because that's where we got Hulk the End from, which is fantastic.
Which was fun. That was really fun. I did not care for the Wolverine the End story though.
Yeah, that one was weird. I just remember he just kind of just got old, right? Like he didn't really like get killed or anything like that. It was just this really odd story. I can't remember all the details for it now all of a sudden.
I think Charles Xavier was like a specter in his brain or something like that. It was a really
the only old Wolverine that matters is Old Man Logan, right?
Yeah,
that's the one.
Which
they did like there was a Fantastic Four at the end. There was a Marvel at the end. They did one with like Thanos where he destroys the universe. I remember those end books.
I never got to read Jeff Lemire's Old Man Logan series. I've only read the Mark Millar stuff.
Yeah, that's the only stuff I read too.
Yeah, I have heard he does a great job though with the Old Man Logan series.
Jeff Lemire is pretty solid, man. I think he's had like maybe one or two books that didn't like click with me, but for the most part, like I love all of his stuff. Sweet Tooth, Underwater Welder. That Sweet Tooth is fantastic. I love that book so much.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing when they did the Netflix show. I was like, they just.
I didn't even see it because I just kept hearing from everywhere that they just kind of softened it, and I was like, I don't want that. And I don't want that. Yeah. I want it to be like, like feel terrible because I felt terrible reading that book a few times. When all the kids were like out on their own and stuff like that, like they had to do what they had to do, and you felt terrible about it.
It was really rough. Sweet Tooth the comic is really a rough read in certain parts, and the series, the Netflix series, isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. It's just it's more they took the bite out of the
Yeah.
series, and they softened it up, like you said.
That's too bad, dude. That's such a good series. You know, the book is still there, and that's fine. I could just reread the book. You know, series doesn't connect. The series doesn't connect. That's fine. But I do feel bad for Brian K. Vaughan because both of his series didn't connect either.
Vaughn just cannot luck out. The poor guy just can't.
Yeah, it's no fault of his own. He's fantastic, but whatever happens with these deals or whatever, and they obviously are changing, going off script from the book, of course. Because Why the Last Man, dude, I love that first episode, man. I remember me and you were all in it on the chat, like, oh, this is so great. This guy's he was a great, perfect Yorick. He had that he was kind of cute, and he was adorable, and you kind of wanted to like help him out and things. And at the same time, he was still like a mischief kind of character. They nailed it. And then like the third episode, it just became about his mother, who was the president. And I'm like, oh man, this isn't what I was hoping for. I wanted to see something a little bit more closer to the book, where you're following Yorick and then Agent, whatever her number is, as they kind of travel the country and running into all these situations.
Right, because the book itself it doesn't linger too much on Washington and what's going on as far as like all these women and stuff like that, trying to put together back the United States and everything. After the first, I think, volume, it's all right, we're off to the races. We're going to go across the world. We're going to see all these different places, and we're going to see how this virus that has killed 99.99% of all men has affected the world. Yeah. And
why is this one guy the only survivor, him and his monkey? You know?
Right.
Agent 47, thank you. Cleveland Brown.
Oh, it's 355. Agent 47 is the hitman character.
Damn it.
So I think what sucks is that they had the germ of a good idea there. They have the concept. They have the Bible of what they need to follow, which is Brian K. Vaughan's books. And they just said, no, we're going to have a few episodes focusing more on the politics and stuff. And no. That is not what you want this series to be. It's honestly not. The reason why Invincible is doing so well is because Invincible kept to the comic roots. They didn't change. They changed what needed to be changed. They moved stories up when they shuffled things around for the sake of pacing. But the reason it is why it is because it's the comic.
And they told it in the right way. The changes they did make were like needed. But even just some of the other changes of things that they've done, just some of the pacing that they've done, some of the character changes that they've done, it's still a great show. Whether it's adapted from the comic or not, it's still a great show either way. And that's what makes it special.
Yeah. It's kind of the same concept with The Boys. The Boys has become this cultural phenomenon, almost annoyingly so, because of these idiots online now that for some reason like Peacemaker, even though you're not supposed to really like the character.
You mean Highlander or
Highlander? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Peacemaker. I like Peacemaker.
Oh, I like Peacemaker. Oh, Peacemaker's the best. One of the probably that might be the best show I've seen this year. So with The Boys, they kept it to its comics. They knew we cannot go as far as the comic book does without just not being able to do the show. But they kept the spirit and they kept the tone for the most part that they can keep to the show, which is why the show has done so well. I love The Boys. I thought this season was great. I
mean, they've definitely softened up the comic, but the comic was so hard that even them softening it up is still them pushing the envelope on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot of things that people hear or talk about. Like, can you believe they did this, or that this character was doing that, or that kind of stuff? Especially when they got a Soldier Boy in there last season. So yeah, they nailed it. I mean, it's the spirit. They're doing it the right way. Things like even with Deadpool, it's not adapted from a comic, these movies, but they got the character down packed. They got the right tone. They got the right ideas. They got the right love. And that's what's different between these things. They didn't love Why the Last Man. They didn't care,
What was the same thing with
Paper Girls? Same thing. Yeah, same with Paper Girls. We were talking about that before once as well. It just fell off.
That Friday, when that episode, when the whole season dropped, I remember I was talking to you guys in the chat. I said, "This is not getting a season 2," and you guys were like, "Well, why do you think?" And I said, "Because Amazon does not drop a whole series on the same day. That's just not their format. This is really weird that they're dropping the entire season on the day of release. They'll do 3 or 2 or 3, and then they'll move on, and then they'll do a weekly release because they want to keep you going, which Netflix is seemingly going to be doing that model as well. They're going away from the whole binging the whole thing from now on because they're starting to realize, fuck, people are just signing up for Stranger Things, and once Stranger Things is over, they just dump their account.
Yeah,
Netflix
they binge it for 2 days and that's it. Yeah,
Netflix is losing money. They are not in great shape as well as they used to be. So the newer model seems to be what Disney is doing, what everybody else is doing, what HBO is doing. Well, HBO's in their own league because HBO is still weekly programming. And they'll drop 3 episodes and they go, "You're going to come back for the next few episodes." They did it with Invincible and they were fucking right. They did it with Rings of Power, which, whatever. That is what it is.
It's still their biggest thing right now. Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
it's still a hit.
Oh, yeah. By the way, they are committed to 5 seasons. Contractually, Amazon has to put out 5 seasons of Rings of Power.
Whoa.
I think I read that the other day that they are contractually obligated to put out 5 seasons of Rings of Power.
Speaking of Rings of Power, True Graphic Novel fan 1989 asks, "Evening Omnibros, do you think it would be possible for Netflix or Amazon Prime to do a Saga TV series?"
I think it is. The budget's going to be huge.
Yeah. I think Amazon can do it because I brought it up. I saw that question. We were talking about Rings of Power because Rings of Power is expensive looking. It is no joke. It's beautiful. Like the costuming, the sets, special effects, it's 100% worth watching it just for that, just the experience, the visual experience of seeing how great that show is. So I think they can do a Saga. I just don't know. Isn't Brian K. Vaughan say that's it? Saga is just a comic, and that's not going to be a movie or a TV series. Wasn't that the idea behind it?
Yeah, I believe that the whole concept of Saga when he was putting it out was he wanted to make a series that he knew would not be possible to get made on cable TV, that to not be made TV or movie wise. But things have changed in the last 10, 15 years, guys. Things have changed since when Saga came out. How old is Saga now? Almost 10 years, isn't it? Because I was in college, I think. I think I was in college.
I think you're right. William Lee says, and I agree, Rings of Power looks better than most movies.
I have only seen the first episode. That first episode is gorgeous. I will not deny it. It looks amazing. But it just wasn't doing anything for me. Unfortunately. I have heard it gets better. I need to catch up with it. I think what I'll end up doing is once the whole season is out, I'll sit down and watch it.
I think that's most people doing. People still like to binge. I think some people just kind of watch one thing and then just jump around to the next one, and that's all complete. They just finish one series and go to the next series and wait for it to come out.
My wife is like that. My wife prefers the binge model as opposed to waiting every week for stuff.
That happened with Invincible.
Yeah.
Not too many people were talking about Invincible, like comparatively. Like once that series was out for like a week, and then that's when it blew up. That's when like I saw it everywhere. Everybody was talking about it. It became this huge thing because everybody just binged it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Invincible's a weird one because Invincible dropped, and you and I were talking in the chat going, I don't know, man. This isn't catching like I was hoping it would catch online. I don't know if we're going to get another season. And then it was somewhere around, I think, the Omni-Man reveal where it's a brutal fight with him and Mark.
Yeah.
Where it was, you slowly started to see the wheels turning online and people going, holy fuck, what is this show Invincible? This is crazy. I've never seen violence like this done on an animated show.
That show's rough, dude. I love it, man. They did a great job with it, man. I'm so excited for season 2. And we keep talking about it, but if you don't know, you're not prepared for what's going to come up next on that show. People are going to be wrecked. Super wrecked. It's like when people didn't realize about the whole thing that was going to happen with Glenn for Walking Dead, and then when it was getting ready to happen, it's like I was waiting for it. Or the same with people who read Game of Thrones, they already knew about their red wedding, and they were just waiting for that episode to come out.
Yeah, well, hell, man, I think honestly the next big thing is going to be the series that I'm reading right now, which is Stormlight. I genuinely think that's going to be fucking huge, and I mean huge in the way of if they do it right. And I know Brandon Sanderson, the writer of the book series, has been super fucking picky with who he hasn't announced who he's signed with, but he has said that he expects by next year to start to be on set filming. And knowing how picky he is, I've got my fingers crossed that this is going to be huge, because if they pull it off right, there's going to be some Game of Thrones shit. It's going to be massive, and it's going to be so good. I'm telling you guys right now, you guys are not ready. It's going to be a fantastic.
I'm ready for it, dude. I love that kind of stuff, dude. If you're that much into it, man, I'll definitely watch the show when it comes out, man.
It's going to be great.
Oh, did you hear about this too? Thanks to James Abel in the chat. The director of Blade walked off the project.
Yeah, I wonder what's kind of going there. Things seem a little bumpy over there at Marvel lately.
I don't know. From that tweet, it was like Marshall Ali is fed up. It's like a 90-minute script. And then Kevin Feige was spread too thin. There's some other details on it, but those are the ones I remember. Kevin Feige was spread too thin. It was a 90-page script, which equals out to be about a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
And Marshall Ali is frustrated and is just frustrated with the whole situation as well. So I don't know. Things happen, these things happen all the time, right? It's all that's rumor and conjecture, because we don't know if any of that's true. All we know that's true is that the director has left.
I think they need to downsize. I think Marvel in general needs to. I think they're spreading Kevin Feige way too thin, and I think they need to downsize.
Kevin Feige's a part of Star Wars now too, right? Isn't he in charge of the Star Wars? Yeah. So okay, so I could see, definitely. That's crazy, dude. Pick one.
I think they're spreading him way too thin, and I think what's happening is I've been enjoying a lot of the Disney Plus shows and stuff like that, but I'm also so deep into this that I'll give almost anything that Marvel is doing a watch, just because I want to keep up with the whole MCU. Yeah. And we do the show. I don't think, specifically for the movies, with the exception of a few of them like Spider-Man and stuff like that, I don't think this phase, the quality has just not been there, and it shows.
A lot of people would agree. A lot of people agree with that.
We've gotten people that work at Disney and Marvel saying, "Hey, they are just abusing the shit out of their CGI department, and all these people that they're trying to hire, they're rushing stuff out, things that are not complete." We saw Thor Ragnarok, which I still believe there is a huge chunk of that movie left on the editing room floor. We're seeing a lot of behind the scenes stuff from that movie where there was a lot of character development for Gore that was cut. There were whole planets that were cut. There were whole fights, characters, arcs that were cut from that movie to fit 2 hours. So I think they need to really refocus, because Secret Wars is coming. And Secret Wars has to be done well, because it's going to be their big fucking thing that they're going to build up to.
Plus the Fantastic Four are coming. That needs to be handled correctly. The X-Men need to be handled correctly.
Yes, it does. So I think they need to pull back and scale back on these Marvel TV shows. We don't need 4 or 5 Marvel TV shows a year. We don't, honestly. I'd be good with just 1 or 2. And that makes it even more special,
But I can see where it came from, because nobody was going to the movies for like the last 3 years, or at least 2 years for most folks, right? I would think. So yeah, they were shotgunning stuff out to kind of make that up, I guess, is what it felt like. And I was fine with it. I was more than happy. I was like, yeah, great. I can't go to a movie. Please, I'll watch WandaVision. Yeah, please, I'll watch, Falcon and Winter Soldier,
Yeah. But as much as I've been enjoying She-Hulk, and I've been enjoying it a lot, I think it's really fun. I still can't shake the feeling of what I've been saying, that this is starting to feel like homework. It's starting to feel like I need to catch up just to be caught up and watch all this stuff just to be keeping up with the Joneses. And I know it's going to play into the greater MCU later on. So we'll see where that goes. I just refocus. That's all I'm saying. We're going into the next phase. Black Panther Wakanda Forever looks badass. I can't wait for that. You got Wolverine. You got Deadpool. Great.
What else? There's Loki 2. We got, that's going to be really fun as well. Yeah, but we got to get all that ready, man. I don't disagree. I could see this as being kind of like a rebuilding year for them, where it's almost like when people get out of high school, they take like that 1 or 2 year period off before they go to college. It almost kind of feels like that. Like they're just kind of going through the paces, getting things taken care of. But I'm just looking forward. No one looking back. Forget the bad stuff. Look forward.
Mhm.
Black Panther is supposed to be incredible. It's supposed to be a really long film too.
Looks amazing.
They're still haven't given us anything about who's going to be Black Panther, so we still got a big surprise with that kind of big reveal to look forward to. So I'm thinking it's going to be just this is that everybody has that slump, everybody has that little trip up, and this might be a small bump in the road, and we're just going to just keep on going and just get us to King Dynasty, get us to Fantastic Four, get us Silver Surfer, Galactus, Secret Wars, Doctor Doom, like. Let's just keep going with it and just make it as special as it was before.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the future looks brighter. I think this next phase, these next 2 phases or whatever it's going to be, are looking very promising. We've got a lot of good shit coming down the pipe, guys. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it all. I'm same with you. I'm going to watch it all. I'm just a big Marvel guy. I'm just excited to have all of this. People my age, like we didn't have anything like this. We had cartoons and stuff like that, but toys and video games and toys and stuff like that, but we always wanted movies like this, but they just didn't have the technology or the money for it or any of that kind of stuff at the time. And Marvel was just a comic book publisher at the time. They weren't owned by anybody big, really. No, Revlon and stuff like that, but they weren't owned by Disney or the way DC's owned by Warner Brothers. But all it was just comic books that we wanted to see all this stuff happen. And now we're like 15-year-old me would freak out knowing that there's going to be a Thunderbolts movie. Granted, it's not that Thunderbolts, but it's Thunderbolts, or even just it's just so part of culture now. Like Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember reading a Abbott and Landing Guardians of the Galaxy run. All right, fantastic run. All right, everybody loves those omnibuses. Everybody loves that Marvel Cosmic era from that time frame. But that book was not the biggest seller. That book was one of those books where it got canceled every so often. And fans had to keep bringing it back. Right? Now the goddamn Guardians of the Galaxy are on like Dorito bags, and they got like a third movie coming out. I really had a moment where this was a couple of years ago. One of my kids was eating Doritos, and it had Star-Lord on it. I was like, Star-Lord's on this Dorito bag? My kid's eating Doritos out of it? How am I living in my own fantasy world? Like, what's going on here?
Fucking we got a video game out of it, and it's a badass video game.
I heard great stuff about it. I mean, dude, they retrofitted an entire ride at Disneyland and turned it into a Guardians of the Galaxy ride. And it's amazing. It's great, but it was an all-time classic Tower of Terror ride. And they retrofitted it and made it into a Guardians of the Galaxy ride.
You want to know how big of a nerd so in the video game, he's wearing a set of and you probably look these up. He's wearing a set of Forum 84 sneakers, and they released them. I had to buy a pair. I have. They are badass sneakers, though, dude. They're beautiful high tops. Yeah. I have the exact pair he has in the video game, and it blows my mind just to see how far we've come, because we are very much blessed to have all the stuff that we have. If you're a comic book fan, because you go back to, like you were saying, the 90s and the mid 2000s and stuff, and we would get shitty films, man. We would get stuff like Daredevil, that Daredevil movie, which it's not, the director's cut is,
Rest in peace, Coolio.
Rest in peace, Coolio. Going full circle on that.
Yeah.
And we would get stuff like Ghost Rider, and but every once in a blue moon,
or like Steel. Remember the movie Steel with Shaq?
Steel.
We had Steel that came out. That was a legitimate movie.
Every once in a blue moon, though, we would get a gem out of all that bullshit. And I'm talking about, we would get a Spider-Man 1, where I still remember going to see Spider-Man 1 and how geeked I was walking out of the movie theater, watching. My father got me a bootleg copy of that movie, and I watched it all the time in the house. And I'm talking about it was a shitty camera and stuff like that. And we would watch it at the house.
It was on like two DVDs that you had to like switch out.
VHS, brother. VHS.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that bad of a quality. So I remember that. I remember watching the X-Men movie at my buddy's house for the first time when I was a kid, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? This is awesome.
Mm-hmm. I remember when X-Men came out. I was working at this restaurant, and they were like, "Oh, you like comic book movies? Tell me, or you like comic books? Tell me about the X-Men." Like I was like, weird, you know. And that's when it started. Like the first time I started hearing people like asking about comic books at the time, and people would take me to the movies with them just so I can sit there and explain stuff to them.
Wow, you were the nerd whisperer for them.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see how far we've come, and for me, I remember every single time I went to see those 3 original Spider-Man movies by Sam Raimi, I went with my father for the second one, and he took me. It was probably like a week after it came out, and it was slam. And I did the midnight showing for Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
I remember walking on Spider-Man 3 just feeling defeated, like, oh man, that was not how I had hoped that would play out.
We're gonna Larry's library here. He brings this back. That's nothing. Go back to the 80s, and it was all DC, aside from an okay Hulk show. But he couldn't talk. I always wanted to hear him say Hulk smash. I loved that series as a kid. There's pictures of me as like a little kid, like hulking out and stuff, because I used to watch that show all the time. I remember watching that show. It was great.
Me too, brother. Me too.
But yeah, that's all we had back then. It was stuff like that. I mean, we had like, what other things were out there? Yeah, so like the Hulk, but the Hulk, that gave us all kinds of like really bad like Marvel characters too. There was like a really generic Daredevil. It was literally just a guy in like black pajamas and like a beanie kind of thing.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we had like a Thor that was really rough.
Matt Murdock showed up to defend him in court and stuff like that. And I was like, oh no, this is not that great.
Yeah.
But I still there's always a special place in my heart for the Lou Ferrigno Hulk. Every single episode would end with him in that somber music, and he's walking down the street.
Yep.
He's got his thumb up. He's like just going
sad Hulk music. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's that and the theme song to MASH, where I'm just like, oh, this is the saddest thing.
You know, I've never seen MASH.
You've never seen MASH?
I've heard it ends fucking sad, like it breaks your heart at the ending.
Yeah, I mean, because it ends, but like there's another part that is like even worse.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I don't want to get into it, but I love MASH. It's one of my favorite shows.
Really?
Top 3 shows: MASH, Quantum Leap, and The Shield. Those are like my well, I probably have to rechange that these days, but that was my list forever.
That's
so I might have to put Severance on there now, or Ted Lasso.
Good. Severance and Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is we'll see how they stick the final season, but Ted Lasso has the making of a modern day classic.
Oh, dude, the heel turn, man, forget about it.
Great. I mean, I saw it coming. I was like,
it didn't surprise me, but it did surprise me. You know,
if they do this right, it's going to be really great. And they pulled it off so well, and it was heartbreaking too. Seeing the sign broken in his office, I was like, oh my God. But for me, it's Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. And I have to think about the other two, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit down and think about.
Yeah, but MASH is great, dude. It holds up still. It's an old show. It takes place in Korea, so it still holds up. You know, it's in its own time for a reason, right? It's not like when you watch like an old TV show now, and you're like, oh, those jokes don't work anymore, you know, or something like that. No, it takes place in Korea, so it's already kind of based around that kind of technology of things. So it's great. It's about a hospital, nurses, doctors. It's one of the funniest shows. It's so clever and so great. And yeah, it ends. It's one of the best endings for a show ever. But there's one where a character leaves the show, and it was like it's the worst. It's so bad, so heartbreaking stuff, dude.
Yeah. We're definitely in the golden age of a lot of good TV and a lot of good stuff, man. We have an overabundance of stuff to watch, to listen to review, to see, and stuff like that. And we're very spoiled for
Yeah.
better for
I remember it'd be like there's nothing to do, there's nothing to watch until like Friday nights and the
Yep.
weekend. But now it's like every day. It's almost like a schedule. Like my wife and I have like a schedule. Okay, Monday we watch Bob's Burgers. You know, Tuesday we don't really have much of anything. Wednesday today we're gonna watch Andor. You know, Thursday She-Hulk.
That's where we're at. Yeah, we've got
Yeah, Friday's Rings of Power, and then Saturday I don't know, but then Sunday's Lord of the Rings.
yeah for us
Or Game of
it's,
Thrones.
for us it's Game of Thrones on Sunday nights.
Mhm.
We bounce around throughout the week and stuff like that. I love MasterChef. Yeah, a lot of that stuff is
Yeah.
fake and it's already scripted.
Oh.
But I
I always have those shows to go back to. Like I'm rewatching Workaholics just because.
Yeah.
Because it's hilarious.
I love cooking shows, so I'm a big cooking guy. So I'll watch those and stuff like that. But she loves Grey's Anatomy. I've mentioned that before. She's binged the series up to now twice. We're watching through it again a third time. The Wire. Yeah, The Wire. I've only seen the first season of The Wire, but that was great.
Dude, I tried to watch The Wire a couple of times. Couldn't do it for me. I just got so bored of that show. Wasn't doing it for me.
It's a slow burn. But the first season.
Yeah, but I went through 3 seasons. I was like, this still ain't doing it for me.
I started the second season of The Wire, and Matt Miranda's going to kill me for this because he's been telling me to power through the second season. That it's not as strong as the first season, but it gets there.
Yeah, that whole like Shorefront season. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't doing it for me. I don't care really what's going on the docks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I heard it does pick back up.
That's so rough though. I got to watch through like a whole season of garbage, you know. But you know, it's one of those things. Yeah, The Wire can do it from Rome, Black Steel. I haven't seen any of those, but I've heard nothing but good things about Rome before.
Cleveland Browns.
Season 3. I don't. Yeah, that's the whole stuff. Like when you go to was it where they the cops were like, you can sell your drugs as long as you sell it like in this one section kind of thing. Where they I think they call it like Amsterdam or something.
Dude, do you remember The Shield?
I love The Shield. That's one of my top 3 shows. Love The Shield.
Was fucking badass.
The last season though was rough. Was not as great as the rest of the show, but like
I hear they stick the landing.
That episode or that season with Anthony Anderson as the villain changed my outlook of Anthony Anderson. He was terrifying.
I didn't know he was in that.
Terrifying. I think it's like the 4th season or something like that.
Yeah.
He's absolutely a terrifying character. Of just like this, like I think he was like a gang leader, drug lord, something like that. But he was terrifying. Glenn Close is in there, and she's amazing. It's a great show. Great. Just the last season, just because the second to the last season has the most gut-wrenching season finale of a show ever. Like you have to watch all the way through, but when you get to this one part, it will break your heart. And then the next season after that I was hoping was going to be kind of like the resolution of that cliffhanger or whatever. Nothing. Just it just got weak. Like they lost their legs.
I would say The Shield has one of the best pilots I've ever seen.
Oh, you can't watch that first episode all the way till the end and not get hooked and be like, okay, I'm watching the rest of the show forever.
Because it goes a certain way that you don't see coming, and you're like, oh shit.
That's the hook, and I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are not as on the up and up as you thought they were.
Yeah. You're like, okay, now I see what the show's going to be about. Yeah. It's so good. I remember the way I fell in love with The Shield is I caught one episode. I don't want to get into it because it's pretty gross, but this like crazy thing happens in this episode. And I'm like, whoa. Okay. And this is like in like season 3 or something like that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out and buy the first season DVD. Because I used to just do that. I would just go buy DVDs, like box sets and watch shows. So I'm going to buy this first one and watch it. And I watched that first episode. And I was like, I'm hooked. I'm going to have to get all these DVDs. And then just fell in love with the show from there. It's so shocking, dude. Such a shocking show. Everyone who's talking about The Shield, dude, we're talking, we got Ray, we got Larry. I'm sure you know what I mean by that gut-wrenching cliffhanger, the grenade. But yeah. Oh man, that's such a good show, dude. Yeah, same. Yeah, Michael Chiklis as the commish. And during this time of him on The Shield, he also played Ben Grimm.
Yeah, he did.
He was in the Fantastic Four movies during this time too. So this that character was Ben Grimm for a while.
Did you ever see Rescue Me?
Yeah, I loved Rescue Me.
Rescue Me was brilliant. That was such a great show.
It had a weird turn in it, though. Did you ever realize that?
Where?
So, spoilers, I guess. I don't know. But so, like, the first 2 seasons, or at least the first season,
Yeah.
it's one show, and then it becomes a different show. Because the first season, it's all about, I forget the lead character's name, but it's all about him seeing dead people.
Yes.
And then it never happens again after, like, the second season. And then it just turns into him being like a drug addict and a jerk and, you know, and hooking up with chicks and stuff like that. Still a great show.
Yeah.
But they lost that him talking to dead people thing until like the last season they brought it back.
Yeah. I love the ending of the series. I thought the ending was heartbreaking and it made sense within the ending. I know a lot of people were like, this character died, but this character didn't. But it kind of makes sense within context of the show because that character is really the heart of the show when you think about it.
Uh-huh.
I think
about Lou.
Yeah, Lou. And the Prospect, what happens with Prospect and stuff like that was heartbreaking. There was a lot of moments in Rescue Me where that show got dark.
Yeah.
A lot of bad shit fucking happens in that show.
I mean, his family.
Yes.
Like,
the thing with his son. I remember watching that episode and we see what happens involving his son, and my mouth just dropped. Like, oh my God. And me being a parent now, and I'm expecting my first like biological daughter. I have my stepdaughter, but I'm expecting my first biological. That is one of the most terrifying fucking things that could happen to
you won't be able to see that scene again the same way after you have kids.
Oh, dude.
Like your own kid. It's a whole dude. It's that stuff breaks you. Or it broke me. Like, I can't watch movies where kids are getting killed. You know,
I am like a pussy for that stuff for whatever reason it is.
Yeah.
I was so they put out The Last of Us on PS5, the remake where from the ground up they rebuilt the whole game. It looks amazing. It looks incredible. And the very beginning of the game, spoilers for like a 10-year-old game, the very like first 10 minutes of the game, the main character loses his daughter in a very heartbreaking moment. And I'm sitting here and I've played this game like 3 times already before this version. And this is my 4th time going through it, and I'm just a bawling mess on the couch going,
no. I wanted to watch this movie. God, I forgot who's in it, but I want to watch this movie about the West Memphis 3 because I've always heard about this story growing up, but I never. It's always you hear it from hearsay. There's always like a legend kind of thing, right? So this documentary or this movie came out about it, and like the first 5 minutes, it's like these cops walking down this creek, and they pull a child out of the water that has its arms and legs bound behind it, and I was like, I'm done. I can't watch this.
Can't do it.
Can't do it anymore.
No.
Can't do it. But anyway, so with that said, let's go and wrap this bad boy up. We lasted a little bit longer than we expected. That's great. Conversation kept going. So once again, everybody, thanks for showing up. Hit that like button. Everybody follow us on Instagram, Omnibroslive. On Instagram, follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Anchor, Radio, all those. On Spotify, we even have an option now. We'll see how this works, where you can leave us a voicemail. So if you're listening to us on audio, leave us a voicemail. Or if you want to, do it through the Spotify account. So also, this is all brought to you by the one and only, the number one spot, the king daddy of them all, our favorite sponsor, our only sponsor, InStockTrades.com, where you can get all your collected edition graphic novels, omnibuses, and trade paperback needs at a fraction of the price. That's right, up to 50% off, sometimes even more, on all the new latest and greatest collectibles that come out every week. So make sure that you tune in here on Omnibros Live on Mondays when we go over the new releases each week. And head on over to In-Stock Trades and make your purchases through there. Free shipping on orders over $50 in the United States. Awesome packaging, awesome customer service. Much love, In-Stock Trades. All right, Lou. Where can people find you at, brother?
You can find me at Comics Guide 101 on YouTube and on occasion on Twitter. You can find me there as well with Comics Guide 101. Guys, if you haven't already, and if you really care about the show and you like to and support the show, why don't you give us a review on one of the many many places that you can listen to podcasts. We're talking about Stitcher, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. We are on everything, guys. Subscribe to those and listen to them. If you are like me, you prefer to listen to your podcasts rather than just sit and watch them, that's perfectly fine. We are on everything at this point. So subscribe to those and give us a review. It helps us out.
All right. With that said, everybody, stay safe. Thanks again for everything, and have a great night.